Harry's Wife, Part 101.67. Screamed at staffer. Malign, Hoover, frenzy. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. There is, of course, a publication that has come out. Valentine Lowe, author of Courtiers, The Hidden Power Behind the Crown, which has provided some juicy excerpts, which have been serialised, I think, in the Times, but also are covered in other newspapers, which, of course, provides us with a variety of opportunities to understand more about what's gone on and what that means vis-à-vis the narcissistic dynamic. We turn, first of all, to the Express with an article by Rosie Jempson, which tells us, Harry's wife phoned every 10 minutes and screamed at staffer out for dinner, claim. This behaviour, undertaken by a narcissist, and we'll obviously examine this further in a moment, is what's known as a malign hoover. A hoover is where a narcissist contacts, goes to see, sends a message, sends a gift, turns up and stands outside your house, writes a note and wraps it around a brick and throws it through your window. It is designed by the narcissism to principally direct control, or rather assert control, directly over the relevant individual. It might be the intimate partner primary source. It might be a non-intimate secondary source, a friend or a colleague. But what happens is the narcissism evaluates, either instinctively or calculating, where it's an aware narcissist, whether it's appropriate to assert control directly over the relevant individual, whether the attempt should be made, and the form by which this can take. And there are hundreds of different types of hoovers that exist. Now, in taking this step, it's done by the narcissism to assert control over the relevant appliance, the relevant victim. It also might be done to draw fuel, possibly to gain residual benefits as well, for instance, contacting somebody and asking for money. Hoovers are regularly used. Traditionally, they're seen where the relationship with the narcissist has ended, either you've ended it or the narcissist has, and some months later, the narcissist pops up again and starts contacting you. And many people believe that's done to resurrect the relationship. Some hoovers are about resurrecting the relationship, but many are not. Some are done to prevent you ending the relationship in the first place. They're preventative hoovers. Some are done to draw you into the relationship at the beginning. They're seductive hoovers. Others continue where you're not living with the narcissist, so that the narcissist comes to see you, taking you off the shelf. That's hoovering you off the shelf. And many take place after the demise of the relationship. So what happens is you sometimes get the initial grand hoover, which is where the narcissist goes hell for leather to try and draw you back into the relationship. And thereafter, there are follow-up hoovers. They can be benign. Hey, how are you doing? Wondered if you fancied meeting up for a drink. They can be malign hoovers. I effing hate you, and I'm going to crush you, issuing a threat also. So there's a variety of ways that hoovers occur, and in some instances, dependent upon circumstances, they can come across as a frenzy. Let's find out more about what's been happening with Harry's wife. But if you'd like to learn more about hoovers, I would invite you to read my books, Black Hole, which is all about hoovering, and No Contact, which tells you more particularly about follow-up hoovers and the initial grand hoover. Turning to the article, Harry's wife had persistently phoned one staff member from the royal household every 10 minutes while she and Prince Harry were out for dinner, it has been claimed in the Times. The Duchess of Sussex felt like she had been let down about an issue apparently worrying her, so had repeatedly contacted the royal staffer while the couple were out for dinner on Friday evening, the worker claimed. So what happens here is that the problem that has arisen, and we may find out shortly what it actually was, pops up in Harry's wife's mind. Her narcissism in her subconscious asks, is this person, who as a staffer would be a non-intimate secondary source, is this person under control, yes or no? The short answer is no, because they've apparently not done something that they ought to have done. Accordingly, Harry's wife's narcissism then evaluates, should she be hoovered? The short answer is yes, and the criteria is met, the Hoover execution criteria is met for that to happen, which then necessitates her telephoning this person and asserting control by screaming at them, berating them, a malign Hoover. Returning to the article, Valentine Low, author of Courtiers, The Hidden Power Behind the Crown, spoke to members of the royal household about the couple's relationship with their staff. In an extract from the book, published in the Times, one worker was quoted saying, "Every 10 minutes, I had to go outside to be screamed at by her," Harry's wife, and Harry. The worker recalled the conversation, saying the back and forth continued for a number of days at all times of the day and night. Absence of emotional empathy, poor boundary recognition, sense of entitlement, necessity of assertion of control. They added, "It was, 'I can't believe you've done this. You've let me down. What were you thinking?'" It comes as further problems were reported between the couple and the Queen's long-established dresser, Angela Kelly. Prior to her wedding to Harry, the Duchess had been told the Queen would lend her a tiara for the big day, as she had done for Kate during her wedding to Prince William. But Ms. Kelly was not available the same day Harry's wife's hairdresser was, so neither was the tiara. This meant Harry's wife wasn't given an opportunity to rehearse with the tiara before the day of the wedding, and this, in Harry's view, was Ms. Kelly being obstructive, the book claimed. Of course, Harry's wife's narcissism would interpret this as a threat to control. Having no interest in the fact that it was Ms. Kelly wasn't available, she should be available. It's Harry's wife. Everything revolves around her. Angela Kelly reportedly ignored repeated requests from Kensington Palace to arrange a date for the hair trial, according to the Sussex's unofficial biography, Funding Freedom Finding Dollars, Harry and Harry's Wife in the Making of a Modern Royal Family. Author, improbably named Omid Scobie, wrote, "Nothing could convince Harry that some of the old guard at the palace simply didn't like Harry's wife. Well, that's probably entirely accurate. I would stop at nothing to make her life difficult." But notice, of course, where has this dislike come from? Her behaviours. And this is the response of people to the way that she is. It comes after Harry's wife was previously accused of bullying staff members during her time as a working royal, which she had always denied. Following the complaints, the palace confirmed it had launched a private investigation, but had chosen not to make the findings public. Express.co.uk has contacted the couple's Archwell Foundation for comment. So, a slight revelation that comes from Valentine Low's book, and it shows the hoovering in action, this necessity of asserting control over the relevant staffer. The fact that she kept doing it demonstrates that this issue kept popping up on her radar, and because of consequently the staffer must not have remedied it, mustn't have apologised, must have argued back, or perhaps not provided any kind of response, or had explained their position which was unacceptable to Harry's wife. This, of course, results in, each time the issue pops back up on her radar, then once again, her narcissism subconsciously tells her, this person isn't under control. You have to get them under control. You can hoover them, but do so in a malign way because they're painted black. And thus she starts lambasting them, and she does it repeatedly. An excellent example of a malign Hoover frenzy by a narcissist. But what are people's observations about this revelation? Well, let's go below the line and find what people are stating. Mrs. Me. Harry's wife obviously thought by marrying Harry she'd had a license to bully people. She should be put back in her place, back to the servants' quarters where she belongs. FIO. William had the measure of her from the outset. If only Harry had stopped to listen, slow down, before she got her twisted, manipulative claws into him and sucked any functioning brain cell out of him. Hopefully Charles has the wherewithal, balls, to strip them both of their titles and deny their kids the same. There is no goodwill, so what does Charles have to lose? Titled or not, you can be sure she will pen her own story in the future with or without Harry by her side. M getting HC'd off. Problem is, when they close their eyes, the ex-staffers still hear the screaming. At least now, it's from California. Cynical old possum. I would have tipped her dinner over her head and in her spiteful face. Just a mom. Having been married to a controlling narcissist like Harry's wife, I can tell you that no one will ever do a good enough job for her. In fact, it could have been done perfectly, but they will look for one tiny, minute detail and claim it has all been ruined. accurate observation from just a mom. Of course, we're not told in this news article what it is that she was complaining about. I would cook holiday meals for 24 people each year. I would get compliments from family members on the meal, but my ex would point out something, such as that I didn't bake the correct pies, rolls, didn't do something what they wanted. Any attention to me would cause the heck for the rest of the family. Indeed, the fact that people were praising the person that has made these meals means that the narcissist isn't getting the fuel, and therefore they feel wounded because the attention is going elsewhere, and therefore her ex has to provoke her and find fault in some way, and thus does so in order to bring attention back onto him. Just a Mom continues, none of the palace staff would be good enough, as she was always looking for ways that they were attempting to pull her and Harry apart, that they were not supported, no respect towards them. She would either threaten to Harry that she was going to leave him, harm herself, or point out to Harry it would be just the two of them in the end, to make Harry totally dependent on her. That those that knew him longer and better were all sabotaging their relationship. L.A. Phil. Hope this book gets plenty of press with each story a nail in the Harkle's coffin. Me again won't sue, because then the facts will come out, which is the last thing a narcissist wants. John T. in Spain. This dreadful, egotistical bullying woman is out of control. I am reaching the stage where I would rather gargle with the content of a baby's nappy than suffer much more of this moronic pair. Who, in heaven's name, does this woman think she is? The better question for her to be asking is who the people think she is, and in too many instances, I suspect she would rather not know. Mamas. Wonder what she would do if everyone boycotted reading and watching anything in the media about her for 2 weeks. Memoir. What the unremarkable girl from Suits did was beyond bullying. It's power tripping. Rex2244. By this one episode, it's only one of many instances, it is made clear why the Harkles can never again be part of the working royals in any shape nor form. Such abuse of staff is unwarranted, and we know they haven't changed, nor will they change, as Harry's wife also has the same reputation in LA, actually both of them. Eloise, let's hope the Australian maid at Governor General's residence seeks some good legal advice. Clanleisk. Harry's wife's behaviour proves that she is cheap, low and common. She was given every gift in life. Beauty, wealth, fame, welcomed into the highest tier of society. Access to the best of everything. And this is how she shows her gratitude and appreciation. Screaming temper tantrums and bullying of staffers who can't fight back. She is living proof that you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Bosnia Bill. The findings of this inquiry need to be published in full. That is, if there is nothing to hide. And there are many hundreds of comments in a similar vein, all expressing disgust at this behaviour. Interesting, of course, to see that at least 2 of the commenters there recognised narcissism and called it as such. Of course, if this was put to Harry's wife, she would simply deny that it ever happened. The first line of the twin lines of the narcissistic defence. This is what you did. No, that didn't happen. And she would belittle and invalidate that person by stating this did not occur. Indeed, she would say, this person didn't do what they were told, I politely called them, and they screamed at me. They shouted at me, and no one asked if I was okay. She would turn it around and, of course, play the victim once more. She would do so fully believing that to be the truth, because her narcissism would revise history to cause her to believe, truthfully and honestly, that that is what has happened. It has to do that to enable an absolute defence to this threat to control and to ensure that it is nullified. This, of course, is but one of the many revelations that are coming out of Valentine Lowe's book. Stay with me, as more videos ahead are embracing these disclosures. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.